Good morning and welcome again. Today I'm going to leap forward to Friday and look at the celebration on Friday and the Gospel of Friday. Because Friday is a celebration of a good old friend of mine, St. Rose of Lima. I could probably retire if I were to get $1 for each prayer, statue blessed, procession accompanied, Mass celebrated in her honour during my 40 years in Lima. Rose was born in Lima in 1585 of Spanish parents. And from very, very early on, she wanted to be a religious. But the parents didn't want that. They wanted her to marry, and to marry well. Because Dad's mining expedition had not been very successful, and the family were a bit short on chips. So Rose, from very early on, did a whole lot of embroidery, which she sold to support the family, and also cultivated flowers in the family garden and sold them as a all supplementary source of income. But finally the family relented and allowed her to build a hermitage in the garden, just a one-room hut. And there she spent hours and hours in prayer. But also there she received many needy people, people who needed to talk, people who needed to be healed, people who needed food, and she was very concerned or very conscious of the poverty that surrounded the family. Rose is one of these many mystics who received bad press. And Rose received bad press probably mostly because of her excessive penance. Certainly by our standards today, it was over the top. But she did this as a way of disciplining herself and hopefully getting closer to her God. In fact, Rose was surrounded by saints in her time. She was confirmed by Saint Toribio de Moravejo, who was the Archbishop of Lima at the time. She knew, was an acquaintance of, Saint Martin de Porres. And also in Lima at that time there was Saint Francisco Solano and Saint Juan Macias, an incredible cluster of saints. But she was the first to be canonized, and canonized in 1675. Rose, a wonderful mystic, and why I sort of spoke about her at the beginning is because her life, I see, so related to the text, the gospel text of today. We're still with Matthew, and Matthew this time has Jesus confronted by the scribes and Pharisees. They've seen the Sadducees defeated by Jesus in arguments, and they thought they'd try their hand at upsetting him also. And they asked him, "What is the greatest commandment?" And Jesus answers so discreetly, so directly. He says, "Love your God with all your strength, heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbour as yourself." Those two commandments summarize the whole law, or the laws, and the prophets. And I was looking at Rose's life. She was certainly a lover of God, and she was certainly a lover of her neighbour. She spent hours in prayer trying to deepen her relationship with God, or should we say, trying to open herself up to receive God into her heart and her mind and her life. But she also dedicated a lot of time, and a lot of effort to supporting her family, but also to supporting those in serious need. And so when we think of what do we have to do to be a good Christian? Love God and love your neighbour. It's as simple as that. And yet we can be like the Pharisees. We can cloud it in law, in requirements, in demands. And Jesus makes it so simple. Why do we mess it up? Why don't we listen to what he says and then just put it in practice? Because if we love God, we will love our neighbour. And if we love our neighbour, we're loving God. Okay? So have a good week. And don't forget that loving God and loving neighbour is all we really have to do to be very good Christians. Okay? God bless you. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time.